Welcome aboard. I am Lynn Bacani. You're watching Maritime Viewpoints on Marino World Online. Joining us is Mr. JESPER SVENNINGSEN, Executive Director of Nordic Chamber of Commerce of the Philippines. Welcome aboard, JESPER.
Thank you so much, Lynn. This was a pleasure for you to have this talk with me today.
Of course, it's a privilege to discuss with you the programs and activities of Nordic Chamber here in the Philippines. But first of all, it is interesting to note that you assumed office on March 16, 2020, the very day that our President Rodrigo Duterte declared ECQ, or Enhanced Community Quarantine, because of the pandemic.
Yeah, that was a kind of different start compared to what I had planned for. Obviously, it had a number of consequences for all of us, but also for me and for NORDCHAM, the Nordic Chamber of Commerce, as physical meetings has been very limited for the last almost 1.5 years now. It also means, I'm Danish, and it's a privilege to serve the Nordic Chamber, but it means, of course, that I've not been able to meet a lot of our members yet, and that is something hopefully will soon be possible with the great effort from the government of rolling out vaccination now.
But have you been visiting the country before?
Yeah, I stayed here in the Philippines for 3 years. Prior to that, I was in Singapore, so I do have some maritime part of in me from that. And then I'm from Denmark, right? One of the biggest seafarer maritime countries in the world. So I do have some background on that, but only in the Philippines for 3 years now. But I'm married to a Filipina, so I've been coming here for the last 12, 13 years.
Wow, it's interesting to know that you're married to a Filipina. When you say Nordic, what comprise Nordic? The countries comprising Nordic.
Yeah. So when NORDCHAM was established 9 years ago, we decided, okay, we want not only, it was established by a Swedish guy, by the way, and he's still our chairman, Bo Lundqvist. But he said, well, we need to embrace more. We are not necessarily the biggest here in the Philippines, so he decided that we will do Denmark, Finland, Sweden, and Norway. Those are the 4 main countries that we are focusing on. But we also count in our community Iceland and then the Baltic countries, actually.
So how do you manage of course, you're heading the chamber, Philippines and Nordic trade and industry relations amidst this pandemic? How is it?
I think the Nordic society is challenged just like any other, with the restrictions that, of course, are needed to save lives. But financially, it's been difficult for a number of our members, and also in terms of managing staff and the health and the mental health, especially of our members. But I think from our side, from NORDCHAM side, we quite fast took a new direction. So if we compare to 2019 pre-COVID, we did 26 events, and in 2020 alone, we did 161. So a lot of this was to help our members to get new insights, new inspiration, and of course to deal with this new normality, or whatever we should call it, that we are living in at the moment. So in that way, we really thought we have to provide as much information to our members as possible.
So how did this pandemic change your plans or programs?
Yeah, I mean, as a chamber, we the events, for instance, that we used to do was in person, right? So we had maybe 100+ participants, and meeting people, going out to their offices. For me was one of my plans, to visit all the offices of our members within the first year. Now that was very, very limited possible. Of course, as you mentioned, I started on the very day of the lockdown, so it has been only very limited possible. Yeah. So in that way, despite this, we had a small growth in our numbers of members, but I had planned that we should be growing by like 30 to 40%. I think there's potential for it. There still is, but it's not as easy now in the current situation.
Could you cite specific sectors of the industry wherein Nordic and Philippines are really having this strong relationship?
Yeah, so besides maritime, which is an obvious, I think, where both countries are very important players in the global maritime setup, we are also very strong interactions here with BPO, business process outsourcing. So a number of our companies are within the IT sector. I think the Philippines is also globally known for having very strong and very skillful IT people and within business processes. So not only maritime. Sorry.
How many member companies do you have now?
Right now we have 117 members.
Mm-hmm.
So we are not one of the biggest chambers of commerce here in the Philippines, but we are also not one of the smallest. We are good, medium sized, and I think we are very agile. If you look at Nordic chambers in the region, we are actually the biggest Nordic Chamber of Commerce. So it's quite good, and the size gives us ample room for being able to provide support to our members.
So how are your members operating now amidst this pandemic?
Yes, so at this stage, I think many of them have very much adjusted to the situation and are almost back to some kind of normality. Luckily, I would say Nordic companies, Nordic nationals, they are used to working from home. So that is not something new that was kind of implemented with COVID, but that is something even when I was in Denmark 15 years ago, I was able to work from home several days a week. So that scenario that we all had to take on us, that is something that was very fast embraced by our members here in the Philippines. If we look at areas where they still struggle somehow, I think that we have a number of members that are in a PESA zone, for instance, and the new CREATE law is changing the taxation. And there's a lot of uncertainties also related to work from home, actually. That is, of course, something that not only NORDCHAM, but a lot of chambers and a lot of organizations are looking into how we can help, to help our members in this uncertainty that they are in now. Another uncertainty, of course, is we have a number of foreigners that are managers of the companies, and there's some uncertainties with the travel restrictions that is not only impacting the maritime world, but also, example, it's now is about the season where people usually would go on summer holidays to the Nordics, to Europe, and then quite often there would be a change in management team. And many foreigners, they are on a 2 or 3 year contract, and now with the travel restrictions, if you don't have a visa as a foreigner, a valid visa, you cannot enter the Philippines without a travel exemption from DFA. So that is something that we as a chamber are trying to help our members with, but also the situation with the uncertainties on schools in general, means that some of our members, they have a harder time promoting the Philippines for their leaders, as many leaders would have families and would like to bring them along. And in Europe, all schools are now open for physical school, and especially in the Nordics, schools are seen as a place where you learn to socially interact, which is very limited possible in an online setting. So those are some concerns that are happening right now, that, where we are saying the last half of 2021 we will face some challenges on that.
And how is your organization coordinating with our authorities here in the Philippines?
So we have a great cooperation, I think, with the authorities here in the Philippines, with the government. Actually, we do have a joint economic briefing from NORDCHAM. We are talking on Tuesday, the 6th, just for the audience here on this video. But today we have a joint economic briefing with all the other European chambers, and we have speakers from almost all the most important governmental offices, for instance, from NEDA, from Banco Central. So we have a great cooperation with them, and also on a, I would say, almost day-to-day basis. It is mainly DTI, the Department of Trade and Industry, that we are working with, but I think Philippine governmental leaders, they are doing a great job. So we are very happy with the help that we are getting, and how we can interact. So I think, I'm new, but luckily our board and our organization has been around for quite some time, right? So we do have good working relationships from the past, but obviously you can say that not being able to meet in person is affecting things a bit, but overall we have regular meetings, so I think it works out very well. And an example of this is that earlier this year we were awarded by PESA, by General Plaza, for the cooperation that we have with them.
So in general, what industries are you into, the NORDCHAM?
So as a Chamber of Commerce, we are looking very broad. So we want to help Nordic companies and Filipino companies to interact, to do business together, both here in the Philippines and in the Nordics. And we don't have really any, preferred company to help. It is a lot of different industries, but as mentioned, the maritime sector is the biggest, and then it's actually followed by the BPO sector.
After the break, we will talk about our focus on maritime sector.
Prolonged quarantine and isolation, repeated COVID testing, impossible travel restrictions, delayed crew changes. It has been a tough time for our seafarers, and it's not just a physical pandemic anymore. It has become a psychological, emotional one, leaving our seafarers with mental distress, worried, anxious, depressed, and in a prolonged emotional and mental health crisis. When the seafarers are in distress, the whole industry will be. What we see in the future are vaccinated crew with ease of travel along the ports and countries where there is timely crew relief and they are not afraid of losing their job. We are in full support for the fair future of our seafarers.
Hi, everyone. What a special day this is. The day of the seafarer, or shall I say the day of the hero? Yes, you are all our heroes. We commend your resilience, your hard work, your determination, and your leadership. We can't thank you enough for everything you do on a daily basis. We want you to know that we are always by your side no matter what. We're here to support you, we respect you, and we can't thank you enough. Be well, be strong, be healthy. We are one fantastic team. We are the OSM family, and it is all about people. It always has been, it always will be. It's in our DNA, it is our culture. Thank you.
What if I tell you that KSIM Connect has become a reality? It is the cloud-based ecosystem for maritime education and training, where Kongsberg provides simulation and services to all members. As an instructor, my main goal is to educate and train seafarers to acquire skills promoting safety, sustainability, and efficiency at sea. At KSIM Connect, I can efficiently manage my simulators, my exercises, and my students. In the exercise archive, I can store my library of exercises, and if I want, collaborate and share them with my colleagues or others in the global community. KSIM Connect enables me to give students access to cloud simulation, so they can train anytime and anywhere while learning at their own pace. In addition, I can explore the library of models and exercise areas, download or subscribe those that fit the learning objectives. And I can even order spare parts or a service visit if needed. Kongsberg has started to create the future of maritime education and training by creating the community where instructors can find news, explore and download available simulator models, distribute or share exercises that fit the curriculum. Imagine using KSIM Connect to integrate our simulators in the same virtual exercise environment, enabling students to train and interact together. It doesn't matter whether you're in Singapore, Australia, or in the United States. As long as you're online, you are part of the knowledge-sharing community. Kongsberg is shaping the future of maritime education and training by creating the community. Let's continue building this community together for the benefit of ourselves and the entire maritime training industry. Join KSIM Connect today.
It all started from building homes in the South and transformed into providing roof for every Filipino family. Solar Resources Incorporated's residential developments let you live in space that allows you to achieve a balanced lifestyle. Las Brisas is the newest 9-hectare residential community nestled inside an expansive master plan development of Tierra del Sol in Tanza, Cavite. Offering around-the-clock security, a playground for the kids, and leisure hubs for your relaxation and entertainment. This residential community is located between Tanza and 13 Martires, Cavite,
It's only 4.3 kilometers away from SM City 13, Tower Mall 13, and Public Market. It is accessible via Manila, via Cavitex, and upcoming developments such as Cavite-Laguna Expressway and construction of the LRT-1 extension.
Solar Resources Incorporated is committed to offering you your ideal home that makes valuable investment and that great suburban experience. Retreat to its southern residence and make your move into something new. Start new living with Solar Resources.
We're back on the program. You're watching Maritime Viewpoints on Marino World Online. Jesper, let's talk about the maritime sector. Of course, we have a very great ties with you, the Nordic Chamber. I see a lot of big names in the maritime industry which are members of NORDCHAM. So how is the maritime sector now with NORDCHAM?
So I would say we in NORDCHAM, as I mentioned before, it also the Norway is part of that, and we have a great collaboration with our friends from the Norwegian Philippines Business Council. They do have a number of the Norwegian maritime companies here, but we are covering a lot of them as well. They're members with us. Of course, also a lot of Danish, a few Swedish, a few Finnish are also with us. So I think we are very happy where we are at now. Then we also have the privilege of having a joint maritime committee together with, of course, the Philippine Norwegian Business Council, the Norwegian Philippine Business Council, sorry, and the Dutch Chamber of Commerce, the German Chamber, and together we are meeting on a monthly basis, helping our members. We get together, have an event where we invite the likes of Marino for an update, and also interesting speakers from globally, basically. So the last meeting we had was on maritime security. We also covered new technologies, the future of shipping maritime, where we talked about different new fuels and blockchain, for instance. So we try to keep our members updated with all of these things. You're probably going to ask me about EMSA later, I would think, and that is of course also something that we keep our members updated on the latest status and help to push the different agendas within that. One thing I want to mention as well is the mental health, which is something that is very important to us. So we done at NORDCHAM, we done solo events on that matter, and we done events with the other chambers. And lately we had an event last month with which was arranged by the Dutch Embassy together with the Dutch Chamber and the other chambers here. So I think in that way we have a great collaboration.
And
yeah, I would just say we pre-COVID we used to host a Maritime Forum, a yearly bigger event, and we are looking into that now, and we hope we can be able to announce something later this month for Q4.
And when you say shipping, of course, the logistics supply chain, and you have a strong background with logistics supply chain business. Jesper. So, what's your insights on this? The pandemic, and then the importance of the shipping, the maritime industry.
It's been a while since my main focus was on logistics and supply chain, but of course I try to stay updated. Globally, as everybody knows, right? We have the container crisis, I would call it. So prices have gone up too much, I think, which is of course affecting a lot of companies, and the impact is yet really to be seen, I think. So we are in for a longer term on this. It seems like, at least that's what everybody is saying. So the impact also on a country like the Philippines is going to be felt, right? There's shortages, especially if we talk about electronics, semiconductors. They are facing big challenges, and that is something that's going to really impact us all moving forward. In general, I think with shipping, I mean, I'm happy on behalf of several of our members. Maersk recently came out with their best financial result in a long time, and it's the same for several of our other members. They are now, after some years with challenges, right now they are benefiting, and also benefiting from their investments in automating things and making things smarter.
And indeed, the importation and exportation of products from Nordic countries to the Philippines, or Philippines to Nordic countries, is a multi-million-dollar trade.
Yeah, I think the trade has suffered a little bit now, of course, but I see a lot of indications that it's going to pick up. We hear from new potential members, from new companies that want to enter the Philippines, and also companies that want to export to the Nordics. So this is great. I think if it's not all going to happen in 2021, I think we are in for a good 2022.
At least there are still interested parties to invest here in the Philippines.
Certainly, and I think there's a lot of work going on still. We had the Create bill that was approved, which is certainly improving the competitiveness. There's a lot of more work going on. We are pushing quite a lot for the Retail Act, for instance, and making it easier for foreign retailers to settle down here in the Philippines and do business. So there's a lot of work that's almost there, and that's going to make it much more competitive to go into the Philippines, much more interesting. So I do foresee a very positive future. Again, I would say, right? The GDP growth suffered last year, but now it's coming back, and also foreign direct investments are coming back. It usually goes quite much hand in hand, and yeah, it looks good moving forward.
So it means still there are parties who would like to invest for the future here in the Philippines.
Certainly, there's a number of them looking at it. We will have a trade fair later this year, and we're also looking into a career fair, because we think there's a lot of opportunities for Nordic companies to establish themselves and tap into the great talents that are here in the Philippines.
Especially for those companies which are into maritime related services, especially in manning, ship management. How do you see the future for them? I mean, the situation now.
I think that, how to put it properly, I think there has been great work done, the green lane for seafarers, making it possible again. The ban, obviously, early this year was problematic, but opening it up in February helped a lot. There's still some discussion on wages for seafarers, which I think is only fair, actually. Maybe some of my members will not think that, but I think it's okay. I think Filipino seafarers are very skilled. You will also see we have a number of our members, for instance, from Maxasai, from the Nordic Maritime NTC, the Norwegian Training Center, sorry. They are investing still here and educating seafarers to be, in the top of the world. Vaccination is now also being prioritized, and I'm very happy that the government decided to give Pfizer and later also other vaccines that's recognized in Europe, as Sinovac is not, right? So that could have posed a challenge if the seafarers would get Sinovac, but I think government has done the right things, and which is also much needed, because you do see in some of the big competitor countries on seafarers that they are doing something similar. On top of it, I mean, there's a lot of seafarers out on the boats that have not been vaccinated when they were in the Philippines, and I'm happy that a number of the countries in Europe have now started to prioritize it and vaccinate the seafarers as well. So I think together we are all getting through this crisis and out on the other side in a better place even.
But do you have other concerns to share with regards to NORDCHAM?
No, I think we are here to help our members and in the end the seafarers, and I think we're doing so quite well. We of course have dialogues with EMSA and the work that's done there. Some concerns, of course, but the progress, especially lately, has been tremendous. So I think the Philippines. I cross my fingers and everything else I can cross for it not to end up creating any problems.
But do you have other concerns on regulations or doing this business here in the Philippines?
No, not as such. I think the progress is there. There is still some steps to take before we are safe out on the other side and not really too concerned. If you're thinking about Delta variant, which is a hot topic here in the Philippines at the moment, personally, I'm not too concerned, and I'm not too concerned based on the development in the Nordic countries. For instance, Denmark, where I am from, they just removed the requirement for wearing masks because the vulnerable people have been vaccinated. And it means that barely anybody are in the hospitals anymore, and it's not even every day anybody dies where they are where they are saying, hey, there's a COVID maybe somehow related to this. So the society in the Nordics, they are opening up in Europe in general, also despite Delta variant now being the dominant one. So in that terms, I'm not too concerned. The important thing is we get the right people vaccinated. There's still a way to go here in the Philippines on that, but you can also see it on the hospital occupancy. The capacity here is back to where it's, you feel safe. I feel safe promoting the Philippines. I did not, if you go back to March, for instance, we were recommending companies not to send people here. It was also very difficult. That's another thing. But in general, now I have no issues in saying, come to the Philippines, come and do business. Hopefully, the government will remove the restrictions for business visitors soon. And for tourists, of course, I hope so as well. But let's see. I understand we need to be careful. Philippines. The general setup, how to say, with the health system is different from the Nordics, of course, and people live even more people together in the same household. So when somebody get COVID, it's more likely to infect more people in the family.
So what can we expect from from the chamber? What are the programs and activities can we still expect?
Yeah, so last year we pushed the boundaries as the only chamber. Really, we were the first to do a hybrid event where we had some people physically, all within IATF guidelines. So we of course make sure we follow the law 100%. But this year we are going to do it again. So we are actually a big tradition in the Nordics is a crayfish party. We used to do a big one, a Viking party, basically, with more than 1,000 participants. In 2019, we were 1,500. This year, of course, that is not going to be possible. But within the rules and regulations, we are looking into hopefully doing an event in Q4 with around 150 participants. That is something we are starting to plan for now. We also have an event. One of our signature events is the Nordic Ambassadors Forum, which is also going to happen in Q4. Let's see if we can do that online only or also with some physical participation. But those are some big events. The Nordic countries are ranking very high in terms of various ratings. Happiness, for instance, Nordic countries are high on that. So we are kind of promoting that, but also sustainability. So sustainability, we believe we have a role to play to inspire the Philippines on that. And this is something where we have a monthly event on sustainability where we have some business leaders, some organizations to share and to inspire other companies here in the Philippines to be more sustainable. So those are some of the key things that we're looking into. Whether or not Christmas party in December is going to be possible, going to be interesting to see. I have my doubts. Maybe it could be possible for vaccinated people only. I don't know. Let's see. It's too early to say anything about that.
Up to all of us. So do you have any other concerns you would like to emphasize?
No, I think this was a very nice, interesting meeting with you here and sharing some perspectives from NORDCHAM. I think the Philippines should continue to develop and to become more and more digitalized. It's something I haven't really mentioned, but where we see a great development. I mean, in the Nordics, everything is digitalized. Right, so you just click on a website and then everything can be done, and I think and hope that that's going to be the case here in the Philippines within short time. I know Department of Trade and Industry are doing a tremendous job in digitalizing things and want for the Philippines to be a global hub for AI and digitalization, and I think that is very likely to happen. So all I would say is continue the great development, and of course, as the old saying was, it's more fun in the Philippines. I think that is still the case, and there's a lot of potential here for the Philippines.
Thank you so much, and with our partnership with NORDCHAM, I'm sure we can overcome all of these challenges, and God bless to all of us.
Yeah, thank you so much. And just as a very last thing, I just want to invite you for our joint Maritime Forum and the committee meeting every last Thursday of the month. So I'll just send you an invite for that, so you can join and hear the same insights that we are giving to all of our maritime members.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me here today. It was a pleasure. Really appreciate this opportunity.
Mr. JESPER SVENNINGSEN, Executive Director of Nordic Chamber of Commerce of the Philippines. This is Maritime Viewpoints on Marino World Online. I am Lynn Macan.